board for having me here tonight. If I can have your attention, I will be brief. I asked Anthony, was I speaking before dinner or after? He said after. So I have a longer speech for you right now, but I'm going to shorten it down a bit. First, I want to, on behalf of our current president, Mary Sullivan, and our statewide secretary, Denise Berkeley, say thank you. Thank you for stepping up and being labor leaders the way you are. We need all of you now more than ever. And I know our former president was here. He's probably roaming the hall somewhere. Wasn't sure what I was going to speak to you about tonight, but since he's here, I got a few stories to tell you. Back in the mid-'80s is when I first met Danny Donahue. He was our region president, out in Region 1. I was a shop steward at the Brookhaven Town Landfill. And we were having some issues with hospital waste finding its way into the landfill. And back in those days, a lot of the people came there on the weekends with their kids. And they went through the garbage and they picked good stuff out and they brought it home. You know, one man's garbage is another man's riches, right? So it really bothered me that we were finding needles and all kinds of things in the garbage that could hurt people. So I went to Danny as the region president, and we were trying to correct this problem. A couple of weeks later, I had all the major networks. Now, back in the mid-'80s, there was no cable TV. There were no cable networks. You had NBC, CBS, and ABC. That was it. So Danny got a phone call at the region, and he said, you got to get your ass to the landfill right away. There's a major problem. So Danny shows up, and they got all the big antennas up, the satellite. He goes to me, what's going on? I said, well, Danny, remember that problem I was telling you about with the hospital waste and all of that? Yeah, I said, well, I pulled everybody off the hill, and we're not going back to work until they straighten out the problem. At which point, Danny now has to be the point person for all of us. So at about 3:15, he got there probably around noontime. About 3:15, he says to me, Billy, when is this going to end? I said, Danny, at 3:30, it's overtime. That's when it's going to end. So he got a lot of good press. We got some overtime. But we did correct the problem. How many of you remember the garbage barge? Raise your hand. That started with me and Danny Donahue back in Brookhaven in the mid-'80s.